These are all the different ways in which Messenger can serve a lot of the functions that we already use in marketing, but in a better way, in a more dynamic way. And that's what's really exciting about Messenger. So
you are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, indies? Welcome back to the Creative Juice podcast. I am your host, Circa. Corinne is not with me this week because this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I just wanted to go over all of the updates to our Messenger marketing training. Before we get started, if you aren't watching us on YouTube, you can check out the video version of this podcast on our YouTube channel, Full Stack Creative. I highly encourage you to check that out along with all the other useful tutorials and reviews and just lifestyle videos that we put out on a weekly basis. And if you're not a member of our Indie Pro membership service yet, this entire podcast is sponsored by Entrepreneur and our main membership service, Indie Pro. I highly advise you to check it out. It includes 12 step-by-step trainings, over, I think, hundreds of video lessons, actually. And every week we do a live Q&A or a live audit where you can get your questions answered. And every month we put out a new live training. Every 2 months, we're looking to add a new training to the member area in 2020. And we also have a suite of exclusive deals on drum tracking, mixing, production, mastering, CD Baby, G Suite, Shift, Viper. There's a whole bunch of apps that you can get discounts to and services that indies frequently need. So I highly advise you to go to Entrepreneur.io/episode 113 and check out the link in the show notes where you can get a discount on your first month of Indie Pro. With all that said, this episode is going to be entirely about all of the changes to Messenger marketing that have necessitated an update to our Messenger marketing training, which is almost complete. We roll out our updates now module by module, along with new trainings in the Indie Pro member area before they actually come out standalone. So we've been adding modules to Messenger marketing for musicians pretty much every week over the last month, and we're pretty much almost done. But I wanted to come here on Creative Juice to talk about how Messenger marketing has shifted, because I think it's really important to kind of get it out at the top level. For those of you indies who aren't already using Facebook Messenger as a marketing channel, this episode is going to be a great episode for you. And for those of you who have gotten familiar with it in the past, but are confused about all the changes to the platform, this episode should be great for you as well. So I want to start at the beginning because I don't want anyone sort of getting left out of the whole narrative here, which is in 2016, Facebook opened up Facebook Messenger to be built on top of by other apps. So when they did that, it's what's known in the development world as opening up their API. Now, an API stands for Application Programming Interface. I believe that's the abbreviation. And basically what it does is it's a language that you can use to get information from an app's database and to store information in an app's database. That's pretty much what APIs do. And when a program releases its API language and opens it up to other developers, it allows those developers to have their app integrate with the database in Facebook Messenger, which basically allows them to just build all types of tools on top of Messenger. Furthermore, they release a sort of programming language or set of, terms that you can use to program multimedia messages right in Facebook Messenger. And what this did is it created a gold rush for Messenger. It made Messenger a marketing channel. So you can think of this as like, imagine that Facebook Messenger is like email, but email is closed. You couldn't build an application that sends emails on your behalf. You couldn't build an application that's going to store email addresses and deal with them dynamically. Well, this is sort of like Facebook Messenger becoming like that, but it wasn't like email. There was a lot of rules that you otherwise wouldn't have with email marketing. There was a lot of concerns, and there's a lot of differences in the messaging. So basically what this did is it introduced a new type of marketing conversation that hasn't really happened since, telephone sales, which is one-to-one conversations, like dynamic conversations where I can ask you a question, you can answer it in any number of ways, and then how our conversation proceeds from there will be different based on your answer. You can kind of do this with email, segmentation. Like I could send you a link to 4 different things that might interest you. You choose one of them, and then that allows me to segment you into a new group where I'm talking to you about that thing. But it occurs over many, many messages, whereas this is instant, it's dynamic, it's a real conversation. Furthermore, with all these chatbots that sprang up as a result of this, people allowing you to build an automated sort of response bot on Messenger, there also became the need to just jump into a bot conversation. So if you have a fan or a customer talking to you in Messenger, but they're actually talking to an automated platform or an automated application, you should be able to jump in there and talk to them one-to-one. At first, this was like, oh, cool, we could jump in, offer support where necessary. But it really has become the meat of what messenger marketing is about, is the one-to-one conversation. Furthermore, we're seeing musicians, especially up-and-coming musicians, talk to their fans in Instagram DMs a lot more. And we're seeing customers just across the board expect to be able to message brands and businesses. The average customer nowadays expects to be able to talk to you in some messaging application if you're a public figure, if you're a brand, or if you're a company. And so it's not just that we can now do this with these messaging apps, but it's also that customers and fans and audience members and people who consume content kind of expect it. It's a trend that they expect to have access to. So it's kind of two-sided, right? It's not only businesses wanting to communicate with customers in Messenger and messaging applications, but it's the other way as well. Now, when we first got access to Messenger as a marketing channel, there was a complete lack of structure or precedent. No marketer knew what to do with this new capability, right? It was sort of pressed upon us by the companies making chatbots. Our favorite is ManyChat, but there's Chatfuel, there's like a bunch of others. And these companies were trying to drive the narrative of, okay, this is how you as a business or you as a brand or you as an artist should use messaging. But they didn't really know either, right? Like, it's not like they had some unique insight as to how we were supposed to use it because no one had ever really done this before. And as a result, we saw a lot of marketers sort of screw it up. Like, marketers kind of ruin everything. That's an old adage about marketers, is that they kind of get in there to a new technology or a new capability or a new way of communicating, and they make it all about advertising and marketing, which, you know, it really shouldn't be. Great marketing isn't really like that. But that's certainly what happened with Messenger. So we saw this whole kind of grimy wave of like chatbot builders for real estate agents and dentist offices and appointment bookers and things like that. And as a result, Facebook started to learn a lot about how businesses wanted to use Messenger and how customers didn't want Messenger to be used. So they got a lot of data back. Through all this interaction between these businesses and these customers, they were able to figure out, okay, here's how this might be ruining the user experience, but also here's what businesses want out of it. So I would say that when Messenger opened up its API so that we could build automated experiences and use it for marketing purposes, it was like a beta. It was an iteration that was going to be changed like eventually. And that's what's happened now. So before, essentially what you could do is you could link an ad to a conversation in Messenger. You could have an ad click to open Messenger. You could create links that open Messenger in specific ways. There was a lot of different things you could do. You could also use chatbots to store Messenger contacts. So there was like a programming ID for every user in Messenger. So if someone clicks your ad and talks to you in Messenger, you get their ID, and you can now store that in a third-party application like ManyChat, along with tons of data about the user, their name, their email address, their physical address, their location, whatever you were able to get them to fill out in terms of like a Messenger conversation, you could then store. And then also we were able to message people kind of whenever we wanted. It was clear at the beginning that this wasn't what Facebook wanted marketers to do with Messenger, but that certainly was possible. You could create a multi-day sequence of messages that go out to your subscribers. And there was sort of a rule around this that was loosely followed by marketers, which was you can't send people anything that's promotional after a 24-hour window has passed. So if someone's talking to you in Messenger, let's take a use case, right? Let's say you're running an ad, and it's to give away some demo songs that you're working on to get feedback from your audience. All they have to do is click the ad to open it in Messenger, where you sort of ask them which email address you want them to send you the songs at, and then, you know, you thank them for it and you tell them it's on its way. But then the next day, maybe you send them something else. So from the time that they talked to you, they clicked the ad, they talked to you, they gave you their email address, they got the songs, it began a 24-hour window. And this is the 24+1 rule. So you had 24 hours to send them anything promotional, but if they don't engage back within 24 hours, so they don't open another 24-hour window by engaging, you couldn't send them anything promotional after that except for one message. You had one message, one promotional message that you could do to kind of win them back or get them to go somewhere. After that, it was not allowed. But the distinction between promotional and non-promotional was pretty loose. Furthermore, what people could do is on that second day, if the 24-hour window had passed, if they had already sent you a promotional message, they could just send you a message like, hey, how's it going? And then you click a button or you type a response. Boom, that opens up another 24-hour window. So people were really abusing this. They were creating sequences. I mean, I created sequences that kind of circumvented this, but were more focused on, do you want to receive any further messaging and a way to opt out? But a lot of marketers did this as a forced opt-in. And that was a huge problem for the user experience. And Facebook really got fed up with this. So as of January of 2020, the 24+1 rule is going to change to the 24 rule. There will be no +1 promotional message, and furthermore, you can't send any messages, promotional or otherwise, to people after that 24 hours has passed, unless it's related to 4 different use cases that Facebook has itemized. In the show notes of this episode, if you go to Intrapreneur.io/episode 113, I'm going to include a link to the different messages that Facebook is going to continue to allow. But basically, if you're outside the 24-hour window now and you want to send a message to somebody, you have to tag it. You have to tag the message with one of these 4 use cases, and Facebook will review it and kind of make sure that you're being compliant. So what does this mean? Well, ultimately, it means that Messenger is a marketing channel that is currently evolving and continuing to change every day, and it's not like email. You can't store contacts in Messenger or in ManyChat or your chatbot builder and just message them anytime that you want to. That's not what it's for. It's not for people subscribing to receive notifications from you. But that doesn't mean that Messenger is not valuable. I think if you think that, or if you already know about all this and you kind of are worried, oh, is Messenger no longer cool? You're kind of missing the point, which is like the potential of what Messenger is, given that it's not given that it's not a place to store contacts and send them messages that they subscribe to. The potential of what it is and what it could be is so much greater than that. So I don't want you to be bummed out that Messenger isn't what marketers thought it might be when it first got opened up, because a lot of really exciting things are happening. So as a result, a lot of our training, first of all, our training was not, it wasn't the best video or audio quality. It was recorded when I had much less equipment, so it needed an update anyways. But we've also updated it to kind of remove anything that had to do with that feature that is now no longer available, and kind of update it to show you the direction that Messenger is going to be heading. And we also wanted to update it so that we could add on to it over time because of how messaging is going to change. So I'm going to cover all of those things right now. So first, let's begin with what Messenger actually is, which is Messenger is a channel that delivers fans from one stage of their journey or their customer journey or their listener journey, depending on if you're a business or an artist or a public figure, from one stage to the next. So it's much more like a highway than it is like a town or a city. You don't keep people there, you use it to transport people. And that's really, really clear based on this update. But it's a little bit more complex than that. So what we do know is that in the future, we should be using Messenger to help facilitate travel in the listener journey. So if someone just found out about you and they dig your music and they've checked out some of your content, you can use Messenger to deliver them to another place like your email lists. That's true. You can also use Messenger to deliver them to certain parts of your website or to an interactive experience. But the notifications, the updates about that experience won't occur through Messenger. There's nothing really wrong with that because Messenger is in some cases a better way of delivering them there than other means that you might have used. Messenger is also, let's imagine that you have someone on your email list and you want to get them to become a customer, or you want to deliver them exclusive content. that can also be done in Messenger. So you can get them to that level where they're either nurtured or they're affirmed and they have bought something from you in the past. And you can ascend existing customers using Messenger. You can get people into referral programs using Messenger. So it's really a way to have the conversation instead of an asset having the conversation for you, instead of a sales video or an opt-in offer video, or instead of some kind of blog post in which you explain something that you're rolling out or a new album or something like that. That conversation can be done in Messenger, and it can be done much more dynamically than an email or a landing page or some other form of communication ever could have done it, which is what's really exciting about Messenger, is that it is a more dynamic way of doing a lot of different things that we already do in marketing. So Messenger can be like a landing page that collects information because Messenger can replace forms. So it can act like a form on your website would act, and especially a really long form. Like if someone lands on your website and they see a form that has 30 fields, that's going to be really intimidating and no one's going to fill it out. But if you have a Messenger conversation, it occurs one question at a time. It has the potential to let them get off and sort of stop answering questions if they want to, while still capturing all the data that they were willing to fill out. And it addresses people dynamically. So instead of like having to ask certain things that I already know about you, I can pull that up in Messenger. I can really know a lot about who I'm talking to instead of having all that done at the website level or at the segmentation level in email. So whereas previously I would have to keep all these different groups in email to talk to people dynamically, I can now sort of send them from email to Messenger and let ManyChat, which is the technology we use to program things into Messenger, do a lot of that heavy lifting. For instance, I don't have to ask people shirt size anymore where I already know it. Like if they've already bought something from me in the past or they've already answered that question, I don't have to ask them that, which removes friction in their process. If I have their email already, I don't have to ask them for it for any offer that I ever want to give to them. So there's just so much user experience benefits to be had in Messenger. Messenger can also be like a website that helps users find more information about you or your content. Because it's a conversation, you can figure out what people want, direct them there dynamically. And, ManyChat Flow Builder, which if you're not familiar with it, in our favorite chatbot builder, in our favorite messenger marketing platform, ManyChat, there's a way to build messaging conversations that's like completely visual, and it's super cool, and it's a really easy way to kind of program in a dynamic conversation that delivers content and delivers information. Messenger can also be like an online store that offers products, but unlike an online store, it can get information about what designs people like, what colors, what their shirt size is, and save a lot of the friction in the checkout process for them. Furthermore, the checkout experience is pretty seamless. So this is a brand new feature in ManyChat. It's, probably released like about a year ago now, but it's still pretty new. They haven't done a whole lot of development on it, and it could get a whole lot more complex with upsells, with, dynamic linking of products and stuff. So there's a whole lot that can be done there, and it's already pretty awesome. So I'm excited to see how Messenger will continue to act like an online store. Messenger can be like a customer support application that handles support tickets because of the ability to tag, the ability to hop into Messenger in live chat and actually talk one-to-one with people who are communicating with your Messenger on your page. That allows for so much support opportunities, sales opportunities, and fan interaction opportunities. So if a fan is communicating with your bot and you're online or you're on your phone and you have ability to see that messaging conversation on your page, you can hop right in and you can really change their whole day. You can make a dream come true experience for them. Whereas with email, that's never going to happen. If you're having someone else run your support, that's never going to happen. So Messenger is a really great way to do customer support in a more dynamic way, in a way that kind of changes the game because people expect so much more one-to-one convos these days. Messenger can be like text marketing that gives users important messages in a way that they'll actually receive. Basically, now, if you want to communicate with people, you can't just send them a message in Messenger any old time you want. But we are seeing the new ad type, sponsored messages, which basically allows you to send broadcasts to anyone who's messaged with you in the past and know that it got there, and also get dynamic information back in Ads Manager about whether they opened it, about how they interacted with it. And that really helps out. It also allows us to kind of dynamically retarget based on those sponsored messages. So it's a huge thing that kind of sucks in a way because we used to be able to do that for free. But in another way, now that we know that Facebook's looking to make $1 on it and they're looking to develop it to get a better business result, it's going to become much better. And that's what I'm really excited about. And it's got that certainty of text. When you send a sponsored message, they're going to get a notification about it and they're going to see it right there on their phone if they have the Messenger app. And that's huge because unlike text, when they get it on their phone, they're jumping into a very dynamic, feature and information-packed conversation with you, as opposed to just a text where they're going to go to a website that doesn't really address them as an individual. Messenger can be like a CRM or a customer relationship management software that stores information about fans and puts it where you need it. So basically, anything that you ever ask someone in a programmed sort of Messenger bot conversation can be stored into a custom field for that user's profile. So for instance, let's say that I ask who their favorite artist is besides me. I can store that to a custom field, favorite artists. And later on when we're talking, I can dynamically pop that into a conversation. So maybe I send out a message to all of my fans where I want to reference their favorite artists. I can make that different for every single fan who sees the message based on what they responded when I asked them what their favorite artist was. That might seem kind of trivial, but that extends out to everything you ever ask them. And that's intense. That provides for so much capability in terms of creating really cool experiences for people, making them feel addressed at the individual level. And what I really am excited to see is how artists handle that, because a business might handle that one way, but an artist with a lot of creativity can use that to do something really cool and really meaningful and really memorable. So I'm excited to see how artists grab a hold of this kind of use of Messenger, which is to basically act like a real brain. Like every time you talk to someone, you're learning about them and you can pull it back up in future conversations dynamically, which is crazy. Messenger can also be like a website chat bubble, right? It can live on your website and you can message with people using the Facebook Messenger API right there on your website without them ever having to go back into Messenger. So these are all the different ways in which Messenger can serve a lot of the functions that we already use in marketing, but in a better way, in a more dynamic way. And that's what's really exciting about Messenger. So for any of you out there who are thinking like, oh, if it's not like email, who gives a shit, right? If I can't just freely send messages to people, who cares about it? I still care about it a lot because it can do so much in a better way sometimes than the traditional means of doing that. You might find that getting opt-ins through a Messenger conversation delivers you more information at the same costs or the same information that you get from a landing page at a lower cost. It can also allow you to figure out why people are not opting in a way that a landing page can't. You can't ask someone why they might not want to subscribe, but you can do that in Messenger. So I'm very excited to see those use cases of it as we continue on into 2020. And that's certainly how we're building our training, is to talk about the positives here, talk about what still can be done and where that's going to head in the future, which I also wanted to address, which is Messenger won't be staying on Messenger. That is, all of these chatbot builders that are springing up, all of these Messenger marketing applications. Messenger is not the only messaging app in town. So I want to talk about two things. First, Messenger, Facebook Messenger, will be merging with WhatsApp and Instagram DMs. That's not a full merger yet. You're already able to see your Instagram DMs from your Facebook page, which is really exciting. But soon, they'll be pretty much the same API, which means that all the things that are true about Messenger that I just said will also be true about Instagram direct messages, which is crazy, not to be understated, because Instagram is probably becoming the biggest bastion of non-Facebook users. I'll say it that way, is all the people who you can't find on Facebook are probably on Instagram. So it's all within the same ecosystem. But the problem is if you run an ad on Instagram that goes to Messenger, it's going to open up Facebook Messenger. If they don't have it, it's going to ask them to download it and register. So it's kind of like, it's a no-use application. Luckily, a lot of that's rooted out at the ad level, but ultimately this allows you to advertise to Instagram, deliver dynamic messaging conversations in Instagram without ever having to concern Facebook with it, and it opens up so much more targeting for messaging-based ads. So I'm very excited about that, right? That's going to really change the game. It's going to open up international audiences with WhatsApp in a way that we've never seen before. We've never seen this much targeting and messaging capability, marketing communication be opened up internationally all at once. But also Instagram. It's going to open up a lot more marketing potential in Instagram. Probably won't happen until maybe even the end of the year or sometime, the year after 2021, but it is coming. It may come sooner than any of us anticipate. We really don't know at this point. Facebook has already publicly announced that they are going to be doing this. So we really have no idea. It could happen at F8 in 2020, or it might not happen until 2021. We don't know. The second thing that I want to talk about that's really important is that the Facebook ecosystem of messaging applications, Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp, is not the only messaging applications that there is. There's also iMessage for Apple iPhones. iMessage will actually be probably an open API before Instagram and WhatsApp merge into Facebook Messenger. And the ManyChat founder, Michael Yang, he said in a podcast like 3 months ago that I listened to that that iMessage you'll be able to market through iMessage using ManyChat probably within the next like 3 or 6 months, which is pretty intense. That means that they're actively working with the Apple team to build marketing platforms on top of iMessage. That's not to be understated as well, because one major thing that's true about Apple that's kind of become a trend this year is that they're trying to kind of crush retargeting. If you own an Apple computer, chances are that it's very difficult to track you and communicate with you based on what you've done with a company in the past. They have anti-tracking kind of built into their platform now. But with the integration of iMessage, that brings the dynamic conversation, the dynamic journey back into the Apple ecosystem. That's huge. Like, I never would have thought that Apple was going to beat Instagram to sort of a open messenger marketing kind of application, but they certainly will. That seems to be what's going to happen. At that time, you're going to be able to pull dynamic information from iMessage. So a lot of people have their email stored in there. A lot of people have their name stored in there. It seems like that's going to be up for grabs when you start a conversation in iMessage. And it seems like a lot of the growth tools that we see for ManyChat, which are basically ways for people to get into your chatbot. So it might be an ad, it might be, a widget on your website, it might be a link you send out in an email, but it opens in Messenger. Well, we're probably going to see all the same growth tools, but they open in iMessage instead, which is pretty crazy, not to be understated. What would be even crazier is if we didn't have to create separate ones for both. So if we build something in ManyChat, like a conversation that asks for an email address, and we attach growth tools to it, what would be crazy is if we didn't have to change it for it to be true for iMessage. So dynamically, when people kind of click the link or they click the ad or they scan the barcode or whatever, it senses what technology they're on and then either routes them to Facebook Messenger or to iMessage. I don't know if that'll be possible, but these are just some of the potentials that we see coming out of Messenger as a marketing channel. So, okay, I've just ran through all that. The last thing that I want to talk about, that I want to make sure we get out, is what this means for the training. So our new Messenger marketing training goes like this. We're going to give you a full breakdown of Facebook Messenger as its own standalone application. So what can you do with just Messenger without even concerning ManyChat right now? What are all the capabilities in it? What does it do? What is the user side features, so that you fully kind of understand what's going on? Then we give a 30-minute or 40-minute walkthrough of ManyChat and all of its features and functions so that you know that. And then we go over the 24+1 rule pretty extensively. After that, it's all about campaign builds. So what we want to be able to do is not have to update this training again, but rather add modules to it for new campaign builds. So the four that we're launching with is opt-in flows. So basically, how do you get someone to opt into your email list using Messenger? What are the different ways? How do you build the flow? How do you route the data? How do you get all that done? Then we have segmentation flows, which is where you might want to know more information about your fans, whether they're on your email list, whether they're out there online and they haven't opted in yet. Segmentation flows allow you to not only get them to opt in, get their email address, and communicate with them further, but you can store additional information like where is the nearest venue to them in case you tour, what's their shirt size, what types of merch are they interested in, who are their favorite artists, where do they listen to music, all these different things that are valuable for you to know about your fans can be gained through a segmentation flow and stored both in ManyChat, a Google spreadsheet, and your email autoresponder to be used in email marketing later on. So we kind of walk through how to do all of that, how to create the flow, how to route the data, how to get the flow out to your fans and get them interacting with it. Then we have content flows, which are sort of a better way to send out content, which is, we can just email people your content. We can't just drop it on YouTube. We can't just make social posts about it. But wouldn't it be better if we were able to dynamically interact with our audience while delivering the content, ask them how they enjoy it afterwards, do things like that? So there's so much that can be done with content flows. We walk through a basic build and talk about some different conditional blocks, ways to sort of not have to ask people the same thing twice. But with all of the information that you gain by the time you get to that module, you should start to see some potential to do some crazier things with it. Delay a little while, ask follow-up questions, tons of stuff. Then in the final module, before the advanced skills section, we do sales flows, which is basically you can offer products for sale in Messenger, take credit cards and process them in Messenger using Stripe and accept payment. And that's crazy, right? Like you don't have to leave Messenger to offer a product and sell it. And then you can route all that data to ShipStation, to Shopify, to a spreadsheet, whatever you use for fulfilling orders. That's nuts. Furthermore, it makes the whole choosing bundles, sizing, colors, all that a whole lot easier because it's not a drop down. It's a conversation and it's a lot easier and it feels a lot more natural, like a salesperson walking you through a sale. So sales flows are a huge part of what's still cool about Messenger and what will probably continue to get even cooler. And we do a full walkthrough of that in the training. And then there's an advanced skills section where we're covering a number of different things that really don't need their own module, but are useful to have. So in there, we've housed our ground report where our director of growth, Corinne Campbell, goes over what we call Location Grabber, which basically allows you to get the location of tons of fans en masse and use that to route tours and get touring information and even sell tickets later on down the line if you want to. And then we also talk about some different flow ideas that we've started to deploy in the agency that we're testing out, but haven't really solidified yet. So we're not really going to include them as a full module till we have the chance to do that. So that's everything the training includes at the current moment. It'll be offered standalone. Right now, it's just for our indie pros because they get first access to everything. But as soon as we have a standalone version of the product to offer, we'll let you know about it right here. We'll probably have a sale or a discount on it, as an inaugural sale for the relaunching of the training. So that'll all be available. So that's the training. The future of Messenger is very bright. There's a lot of functionality coming to it. And our path to that future has been a rocky one. It's been a lot of changes, a lot of twists and turns, but I think largely there's a lot to be excited about with messaging marketing in the future because it's not just going to be Messenger. It's going to be messaging. And it's really indicative of a larger consumer trend, which is like, if you admire, some company or some brand or some public figure or some artists, you kind of expect to be able to talk to them or someone on their team at this point, whether that be through customer support or whether that be sending them a message in Messenger or iMessage. So that's really exciting. Like, that's exciting that that's kind of where the future of marketing is headed. That's the future of communication with an audience. Now, if you've paid attention up until this point, you might think this is a whole lot of sort of like markety, businessy speak. What does this mean for musicians? And while everything I've said today is in the context of like what it means for an independent musician, because everything I'm talking about building has to do with selling merchandise, offering music, offering content, it is broadly applicable. What it means for musicians is that you can learn so much more about your fan base and you have a way to directly interface with them that's a lot more interesting than just email marketing when used alone. You can incorporate this with your website, your email marketing, and everything else you're doing, your advertising, in order to learn more about your fans, make them feel more taken care of, make them feel like more of an individual, and you can customize the entire journey for them based on their interaction with you in Messenger. So, for me as a musician, as someone who's going to be looking to build my fan base massively in 2020, I am really excited about it because it's going to give me a way to get more tactile, direct, immediate feedback from all these new fans I'm creating. I can learn more about what they want. I can direct them to cool experiences, and I don't necessarily need to build it all out on a website right away. So that's why I'm excited about it. I'm excited because it's going to be a major component of the growth of my fan base, and something that my fans can come to expect from me is to be able to talk to me in Messenger, sometimes one-to-one, sometimes automated. But either way, I'm sort of in their inbox and not always with email. And that's exciting for me. It's exciting for me because it allows me to kind of paint with a new canvas. And I hope it's exciting for you too. I hope anyone out there who does market their own music or markets someone else's music sort of realizes that it's a new frontier. It's something completely different than any other marketing channel we've had in the past. And I'm excited about it. So I hope this episode was helpful. If you are watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe or share it on social. That'd be super helpful, goes a long way. And if you're listening to us on iTunes or on Spotify, please, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever you can do on your platform goes a long way. And we really appreciate it. Beyond that, we're going to be back for our regularly scheduled programming next week. So I hope to see all of you indies next week on Creative Juice.
East Coast, feel us, West Coast, say what?